Hi, 3 and 4-year-old leaders. We are preparing for June 9th in our new summer series that is just called Summer 2019. As we move into summer, we have finished with the Israelites getting into the promised land, and we're heading on through the Bible chronologically into the time period of the Judges. And during this time period, you'll notice in your leader notes that this was a turbulent time for God's people. And so we're going to learn from some different characters, if you will, about how God was showing his faithfulness and greatness, even though the people were choosing to fall into sin and continue this cycle of sin. This week, we're going to start with the story of Samuel and Hannah from the book of 1 Samuel 1 through chapter 1 through chapter 3. And in this book, you're going to get to hear Hannah's cries to God for a child. And once she has her child, she tells God, I'm going to give him back to you. And she does exactly that. After he is weaned, she takes him to the temple and gives him to the priest Eli. And she gives him there to be raised in God's house and as God's kid, if you will. And so while Samuel is there under Eli's influence, he learns biblical knowledge. He learns specifically in this lesson, he learns to hear God's voice. And in our lesson today, we're going to focus on that part. During your large group time, you will get the chance to walk through that story with the kids. Your social activity for this series, actually, I think you're going to have this social activity for half of the series because it's a 9-week series, and then you'll have another social activity to finish out the time, just so everybody doesn't get stale and tired of what you're doing. So your game is you're supposed to give the kids categories, and they're supposed to find their group based on those categories. And you can play that however you want to do that. There's some suggestions in your leader guide. And I would just point out that one of the big points of this game is to help kids learn to listen and to learn to follow directions and to find people that are similar or different than they are. All right. Then your small group activity should be lots of fun today. You're going to have on your video this week, you're going to have 2 videos. You'll have your large group video, and then you're going to have another one on there that's called Sound Recognition Game. And it's a YouTube video that we found and burned to your DVD, where you can play this game with kids to see if they can figure out what different sounds are. What will happen is there will be some words that come up on the screen. If you want to read them to the kids, you can. If not, just tell them that they need to use their listening ears to pay attention to what's going on the video so that they can figure out what they're hearing and to use their ears instead of maybe their mouths. Or after they hear it, maybe they can help you make the sound if you want to include their mouths. But they have to, in this game, they have to use their ears. Just like Samuel had to learn to use his ears to recognize God's voice. And then after the sound plays on the video, it will show you a picture of what that sound was. So you guys can help kids celebrate if they got it right, or high five, or however you want to do that. Your memory verse is from Jeremiah 10, and it says, "No one is like you, Lord. You are great, and your name is mighty in power." So if you want to add some little motions to that, no one is like you, Lord. You are great. Like you're giving a high five. You are great, and your name is mighty in power. Hopefully that'll be simple and easy. I think what's going to be awesome with this memory verse for the whole summer is helping us remember that even when we make bad choices, when we make choices that keep us away from God, God hasn't changed. God is great. His name is great. He is mighty in power, and that we can continue to turn to him because he doesn't change. So you can help kiddos think through that as well. And then you have a coloring sheet that you can sit and color with them, or just send it home if you'd like. What's nice about sending these home is on the back of these, it gives a description for the families of what we taught that day, and some suggestions of ways that they can do those things, do some things at home to help continue the learning. That's our lesson for this week. Thank you guys so much for coming through the summer and loving on kids. We have seen amazing exponential growth lately, and the consistency of our leaders, and when you guys are there, you are building relationships with them. And I think that's a big portion of why kids and their families continue to come and are continuing, like we're seeing really big growth. So thank you for your leadership. Feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any questions.